Great verdict. Congratulations. So glad I could win it for you. My office will put out a press release saying how grateful you are. Oh, excuse me. We're on trot.
Ron, is Karen Patterson?
Karen, how are you? What can I do for you?
I just killed my son.
The victim is Sam Patterson. Luther tells me Karen Patterson and Ron are friends.
Ron has friends? I thought he just had clients.
She called Ron on his cell before calling 911. Ron doesn't give his cell phone number out to anyone.
That was smart. She must have been thinking pretty clearly to do that.
Bullet wound to the left shoulder. Looks pretty clean.
That's a lot of blood for a clean wound.
Oh my God. I'm gonna be sick.
Karen, please, take a breath. You need to calm down. We need you to tell us exactly what happened.
Sam's dead.
Did he do that to you? Has he done this before?
Several times. He was going at me. He said he was gonna kill me. I need to see my son.
The police are out there. Karen, look at me. Sam is gone. He's gone. You do know that, don't you? My partners and I, we're gonna take care of you. I promise.
Detective.
Let me see her. Now.
There's an attorney-client meeting going on, Detective.
You're obstructing a murder investigation, Luther.
We called 911. We started this investigation. Now we will turn Karen over to you. We just have to do our job. Talk to her first.
He was 17 years old. How could a mother do this?
Honestly, I have no idea.
It was self-defense. She had to do it. Sam was going to kill her.
That's what she says. And you believe her?
Of course I believe her. Did you see what he did to her face?
You think we should take this case? You did have a relationship with her. That can complicate things.
Years ago. Before she married Doug, he was a client, a friend, a good friend. My best friend.
So you're doing this for him?
Doug backed me when I started my first law firm. He stayed loyal even when bigger firms tried to steal his business away. He loved Karen. The least I can do is help her now.
So what do you know about the son, Sam? Was he violent?
Last time I saw him was 10 years ago. Sam would have been about 7. Seemed like a nice kid then, but he sure as hell didn't turn out right. I've already called American Crime. They're sending in a news crew here.
What? We never want footage of a client being taken away in cuffs.
Look, the cops are gonna drag her out no matter what we do. If I spin this the right way, she won't look guilty. She'll look sympathetic, tragic, innocent even. I'll follow you to the station. Don't talk to anyone. We'll get through this together.
A wealthy neighborhood is in shock today as Beverly Hills socialite Karen Patterson is arrested after fatally shooting her son, who she claims attacked her.
This is tragic. Beyond tragic. Karen Patterson, a widow. A pillar of the Beverly Hills community. A single mother. She just had a parent's worst nightmare. She was forced to kill her own son in self-defense. We're here to help her. We ask that everyone, please, just give her some time to grieve.
Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump!
What's going on?
They just flipped his body over. Shot in the back. I guess we know where all the blood came from.
Ron is out there spinning to the press that this was self-defense.
That's not good.
You know my definition of self-defense? Not shooting somebody in the back.
100% innocent.
An innocent bystander. Somehow I got stuck between a rock and a hard place.
We've got the greatest legal system in the world.
I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe Sam's dead.
Don't. Not now. Now is when we talk about your life. Keeping your head on straight. Trial isn't for weeks. Our job is to get you through it. Manage your life so you're ready for trial.
Thank you, Ron.
We've contacted your accountant. He said he'd take care of your bills. We also went through your date book.
Oh, God, I forgot I've got a fundraiser tonight.
Yeah, for the mayor. I told him you were unavailable. He seemed a little relieved. We've also handled all of your appointments, dinners, parties. You're a very popular woman. All of your friends and neighbors wanted to contribute to your bail. A guy named Scott Newcomb even offered to post all of it himself. Who is this guy?
Scott, he's a friend, a good friend. We've been dating. And if we were younger, I'd say he was my boyfriend.
I thought you didn't like to use that word.
When we were going together, you didn't like that word. Scott's been very supportive of me over these years. I don't want to involve him or anyone else in this.
Of course.
Mr. Newcomb. Tom Nicholson. How can I help you?
Karen didn't want to see me. Is she all right?
Yeah, she's fine. She's fine. So you knew Sam?
Yeah. A little. He's quiet, sullen, a teenager. Karen didn't want to talk about him much with me.
But you and Karen spoke the day of the shooting. Why was that?
She and I are close.
Well, when she called, did she seem upset? Or was there any indication that something was wrong at the house?
She sounded scared. I asked her if everything was okay. She didn't say anything. I asked her if she wanted me to come over, and she said no. She just wanted to talk to me and hear my voice.
Beverly Hills, home of the rich and famous, now home to a murdering mob. Her attorney, Ron Trott, claims it was self-defense, that she had to kill her own child. Never heard of grounding kids in Beverly Hills? This must be their idea of family values. But not as far as Deputy DA Jennifer Reese is concerned. Reese filed first-degree murder charges against Patterson. She says she'll prove this was premeditated and deliberate murder.
This is what I get for giving Suzanne Fulcrum an exclusive. Remind me to get her back for that. Karen's never been in trouble a day in her life. She hates yelling, avoids confrontation. She won't send her dinner back if they bring her the wrong one. How's the DA going to prove she's a cold-blooded killer?
She shot Sam twice, once in the back. Do we know why?
Her story fits. She says he threatened to kill her. He beat her. She had to defend herself. Our story is simple. This was self-defense.
Self-defense means kill or be killed. We have to show that Karen's life was in imminent, immediate danger, that she had no choice but to kill Sam. Legally, that's the only way we can justify what she did.
Hey, I'm all for self-defense as a story, if it's true. But the law says you can't use deadly force to defend yourself if you had a chance to escape. Did she?
She had a gun. Why didn't you threaten him and retreat?
The gun may have accidentally discharged. We need to look at it. We also need to look at Sam. Clearly, he had problems. Did he have a police record? Did he have issues at school? If we can prove he was dangerous and violent, maybe the DA will drop the case.
Don't take my word for it. Look for yourself. This was how she looked when you arrested her. She was attacked by her son. Have you even looked into this kid? We did. Sam's toxicology report showed he was high on methamphetamines when he was shot. You know what meth does. It makes people aggressive and violent. Sam also had a criminal record, including possession for sale busts. He was arrested with cocaine and cash in his pockets. He did 2 90-day stretches in juvie. He got into a fight with a kid the first week in. Karen was nearly killed by a monster in her home.
No, it was cold-blooded murder.
What proof do you have of that?
I'll be sending you 50 boxes of Discovery this afternoon so you can figure it out for yourself.
She killed him in self-defense. She wouldn't have shot him otherwise.
Hey, if that's what you want to go with, be my guest.
A defense attorney who does his own weapons test. You know your way around guns.
That gun was registered to your client's dead husband. Looks like it was fired an awful lot. Well oiled, too. Your client did a good job maintaining it, but you probably already knew that.
You always this chatty?
It's gonna be hard to argue your client killed a boy in self-defense. There's no evidence he ever even had the gun. His prints weren't on it.
So the son's prints went on the gun. I'm not surprised. Guns this well oiled usually don't hold prints. But you already knew that, right?
Your client kept the gun in a lockbox. We found the key to that lockbox on her keychain when we arrested her. We didn't find one on the boy. So how could he have gotten the gun?
It's called a kill shot. I looked at the medical examiner's report. He says that this shot to the back brought Sam down, and it's the first shot that Karen fired.
You sure? The DA sounded pretty confident about her case. This must be why. It looks bad.
And the shot went through the heart. That's why the second shot to Sam's shoulder barely bled. His heart wasn't even pumping by then. The ME also said that the bullet in Sam's back went in at an upward angle.
Looks like Sam's torso was bent forward as if he were running away.
Maybe she panicked and squeezed the trigger. It wasn't a kill shot, it was a lucky shot. It's possible.
Maybe, but I tested the gun. It took 9 pounds of pressure to squeeze the trigger. DA will say that Karen pulled the trigger on purpose.
Yes, because she felt trapped, in danger. She did the only thing she could.
It's a big house, Ron. It's going to be hard to explain to a jury how anyone could feel trapped in it.
And there's another problem. The gun was upstairs, the bullets were downstairs. The DA is going to say that by the time Karen got the gun and the bullets, she could have fled or called the police. And she didn't.
Yes, we got bad evidence. Our job is to find good evidence or make the bad evidence work for us. We're her advocates. We have to defend her zealously. That's our job.
What else you know about Ron and Karen?
Not much.
They were close. Very close. They dated before Ron married his first wife. I'm wondering whether it could affect his judgment.
Well, could make him more committed to the case, which I like to see. And besides, if you think he's too close to Karen, you can still make sure he doesn't go off the rails. We're on the case, too.
Then shouldn't we be talking to her? Ron's in a meeting with Karen right now, alone. Not with Miranda, not with you.
I'll go in.
We've done some investigation. Your story has some problems.
It's not a story, Ron. It's what I remembered happening.
I understand, but you shot Sam in the back first as he was moving away from you. What happened that day?
It wasn't just that day. Sam was violent most days.
How long had this been going on?
Years. Sam was 15 the first time it happened.
We should get Miranda in here. She needs to hear this.
Why didn't you call? I could have done something.
I did call, Ron. I called you many times. You just never called back. First time it happened, he had a book in his hand. And he hit me in the face with it, and I went down. I remember my eyes watering, not because I was crying, but because he hit me so hard. And I just laid there, waiting, praying that he'd just go.
What happened the day of the shooting?
I made him his lunch, and he got angry. He jumped up from the table and he slapped me, and then he left. And by the time he got back, I knew that he was going to do it this time. He was going to kill me. That's when I got the gun, and I waited for him to come back.
What happened when your son came back, Karen? Can you tell us?
He was even more messed up on drugs. I could tell he had this look that I'd never seen before. It was like he was going to kill me right then. And then he started screaming at me like he said he was sick of me, he was sick of his house, of his life, and he was going to put an end to it, all of it. And that's when he punched me in the eye. And then he saw the gun.
What did he do?
Oh, he turned away for a moment.
To get a weapon and a knife? Did you think he was getting a knife from the table?
I didn't know what he was gonna do. And then I shot him. It was my only chance. She's a battered woman. It's like spousal abuse. The fact that her abuser was her son and not her husband is irrelevant.
How do we explain why she didn't leave the house?
Women who've been abused this badly don't think that there's a safe place to go. It's got to be worse for a mother. She felt like she was trapped.
Right, and in her mind, Sam was going to kill her. So she did the only thing she thought she could do to protect herself. This might work.
Are you serious, Tom? Battered parent syndrome.
Why not?
Because it's never been done before. For battered wives who kill their husbands, yes, plenty of times. For mothers killing their sons, never.
How do you even prove she was a battered parent? There are no witnesses to the abuse. She never reported it. Her boyfriend didn't even know about it.
Could mean that she's telling the truth. I had the paralegals do research on the defense. Battered women don't usually report their abuse, even to their friends. They're afraid to talk about it, ashamed. It's the reason she didn't tell us about it. Sam had been abusing her for a long time. A year and a half ago, she was admitted for a dislocated shoulder. 7 months back, she went in for a broken arm. 3 months after her broken arm, Karen was back in the hospital to get her hand treated for a burn. This proves she was a victim of Sam's abuse.
It says here she told the doctor she broke her arm skiing. These other injuries could just be accidents, too. We can't prove Sam is to blame.
These injuries weren't accidents. She didn't tell anyone because she couldn't. She was ashamed and wanted to protect her son. It's actually good evidence for us. It proves she was battered and hid it. Classic denial.
These are the people we want to put on the stand.
To prove Karen wasn't violent and she loved her son, we need to call character witnesses. The fact that these are upstanding friends of a well-respected Beverly Hills woman doesn't matter. Keep running the background checks to see if they have criminal records. If they do and the DA finds out, she will destroy them on the stand and our case with it. How's the search for a psychiatric expert going?
I found someone who can testify about battered parent syndrome.
Stop. Isn't that Karen's boyfriend, Scott Newcomb?
Yes. Looks like he has a rap sheet.
You need to get Tom.
Okay. When you're done, clean up this area. Right here. Yeah.
Mr. Newcomb! Mr. Newcomb! Guess you couldn't hear me calling you.
I heard you.
We'd like to use you as a character witness for Karen.
You want to talk to me about my drug arrest?
Can you tell me about it? We need details if we're going to call you to testify.
You leave me off the witness list. You don't want to go down that path.
I can't help it. Now I'm curious.
Tom was right. Newcomb is suspicious. Called in a favor. The bus was for possession for sale. 6 ounces of coke. Sound familiar?
Sam and Newcomb were busted for dealing coke together.
Not quite. They were busted at different times and places. I called my contact at the DEA about it. He said they were the same brand of coke, the same chemical compound, same packaging. Now, this is a list of Newcomb's car washes. They're cash-rich, Ron. That's how drug dealers hide money. Now I forget. Did Karen tell us that she was dating a drug dealer? The police took all of Karen's financial documents from her home office. They also took documents from her boyfriend, Scott Newcomb. Now we know why. We found out he was money laundering. He started by depositing small amounts of cash, less than $10,000 at a time, to different bank accounts in L.A. To avoid tipping off the government, it's called smurfing. He then made hundreds of wire transfers from the LA accounts into accounts overseas. That's called layering. Finally, he transferred the overseas funds back into his U.S. accounts and invested in car washes, where cash comes and goes freely. That's called integrating. Want to know where all this untraceable money ended up? In Karen's son's bank accounts. Accounts opened and controlled by Karen Patterson. There is one reason why someone will go through this much trouble to hide income. They're selling drugs. We did some checking. Sam and Newcomb's drug associates told us they work for one person. Karen Patterson. We know about the money, Karen.
What money?
Drug money. I was a DA, so I know how your drug operation worked. You were a wholesaler with a great cover. You used people who tended to your needs as employees, valets, manicurists. The whole Beverly Hills service industry was your chain of distribution, and you never forgot your friends. That was your ticket to every party and event in Beverly Hills. Some women brought other women. Some women brought other men. You were the coke girl.
No, that's wrong. I wasn't it at all. Believe me, Ron. He's wrong. Whoever told him that was lying.
Luther's only coming at you this hard because that's exactly what the DA will do. Tell me how he was wrong.
Sam made me do it. He was the drug dealer, and he couldn't open up all those bank accounts on his own. He told me that he'd kill me if I didn't help him hide his money. I told you how afraid I was.
Look, I'm happy to try the case, and nobody wants to believe the client more than me.
She wasn't a willing drug dealer, Tom. We can argue this was part of the abuse. Sam forced Karen to participate in his drug business under duress. Legally, it excuses her involvement in it.
You think the jury will buy that?
Yes, we have character witnesses lined up to testify on Karen's behalf. They wouldn't be willing to do that if she was a drug dealer.
Unless they're drug clients. Look, I'm just saying they might be trying to protect themselves. If Karen goes down, they could too.
As a lawyer, whether you believe Karen or not, you have to act like you do. Look, if you can't make this case to a jury, I will. I'll first chair the trial.
Ron.
Tom, you're a good friend. You're a great trial lawyer. But if I have to do this case alone, I will.
Karen Patterson didn't murder her son that day. She murdered a monster who was high on drugs and who systematically beat her. She was a prisoner in her own home.
Excuse me, could you step back? You're standing really close, it's sort of intimidating.
Sure.
Karen Patterson shot a monster that day. Wouldn't we have done the same? Ask yourselves that question. That's your duty as jurors. It's your job.
I don't know about anybody else, but you're coming across as sort of aggressive.
Hostile, too.
Funny, I used to get that same complaint from my second wife.
You heard about the Cali cartel? Now there's the Mommy cartel. American Crime has just obtained information from confidential sources within the DA's office that shows murdering mom Karen Patterson was running a drug ring out of her home and that her own son Sam was on her payroll.
None of the drug evidence is relevant. We won our pretrial motion to keep it out of court. But I guess the press was bound to get a hold of it.
Reese is a good DA. If she's leaking this now, she must have something new to tie Sam's murder into Karen's drug business.
We need to find out. Luther, talk to one of your DA contacts. Tom, hold on. So, you saw the results of my mock jury.
They weren't bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they were horrible, but you know, it happens. You know, sometimes you get a bad panel. All right, so it wasn't a bad panel, but you know why you're great on TV, Ron? Because you're big. And people want a bigger-than-life personality on the screen. Now, when you're in the courtroom, they want sincerity.
Actually, I'm being sincere most of the time, believe it or not.
I know, but the jury, you know, they see the Cartier watch, you know, the pocket square, the striped dress shirt. It's just that you're coming off a little slick, that's all.
So, it's the clothes?
No, it's the spin. You know, a good soundbite isn't going to win you the case. A juror wants to come out on the right side. You know, if an injustice has been done, they want to correct it. So make them feel like they're correcting an injustice. Now, your instinct was right to take over the case. You care for Karen, and you truly believe that she was battered by Sam. Make the jury feel that.
find out about this?
I have a friend at the DA's office in media relations. She gave me the heads up. A new witness just came forward.
I knew Sam Patterson. I was his girlfriend. Sam loved his mom. He never would have hurt her. He was selling drugs because she wanted him to. And he didn't want to do it anymore, and he didn't want her to do it either, so he made a tape of her talking about her drug business and threatened to go to the cops with it unless she stopped dealing. And that's why she killed him.
So you're doing drug cases now? What's next, child molesters? Nice try with the motion to keep Karen's drug dealing excluded from the trial, but now I have a witness that makes it relevant. Ron's dragging all of you over a cliff, and you know it.
Sam did not abuse his mom. He never would have touched her.
Did the police ever find the tape?
No. I think Elizabeth sounds believable.
I don't. I think she's lying. This girl wants publicity. Karen is our client. It's our job to continue to defend her. As her lawyers, we owe her that loyalty. You know that.
I do. And I know Karen means a lot to you.
We need to discredit Elizabeth. We find out everything we can about her. Her school reports, any police records, anything we can use to impeach her credibility. And thanks, Luther.
Since we only have one day before the start of trial, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Where are we with Sam's girlfriend's discovery?
We found out from our private investigator that last week Elizabeth was seen using cocaine at this Hollywood nightclub. He also told me that she has 2 priors for possession of coke. Yesterday, he tailed her to a law firm in Beverly Hills that handles literary representation.
So we need to figure out who she met with and get copies of any signed agreements. We better get started.
You're nervous.
Says who?
You're tugging at your shirt sleeves. You do that when you're nervous.
I pay you to analyze other people's behavioral quirks. If you want, I'll pay you extra to stop analyzing mine. How are we doing with our case?
My polling shows Elizabeth is hurting our defense. Potential jurors are seeing her on TV a lot, and they believe what she has to say.
Battered parent syndrome. Good?
Bad. People think it's extreme. Ideally, we would have a prosecutor type, someone the jury trusts to first chair the case. It can make them feel more comfortable with the defense.
So Luther should try the case. That's what you're saying, or Tom?
No. I think you should do it. Your mock jury results are getting better. I think there's a reason for that. You're passionate about this case. You're on a mission. It comes through. Let it work for you at trial.
It's guilt, Miranda. I wasn't there when Karen needed me before.
When her husband died.
I can't turn my back on her now.
Sam called me that day. He said he was gonna tell Karen about the tape. He thought that it would get her to stop dealing. And he was gonna stop using, too. He knew that he had a drug problem, but it was hard because he was around drugs so much.
How much?
He was selling for his mom every day at parties and clubs. He made her a lot of money.
Elizabeth, did you ever witness any discussions between Sam and his mom about his drug dealing?
Yeah, he told her that they should get out of the drug business. And he told her that everything was gonna be okay, but she just would never listen. And that's why he made the tape, to force her to listen. But it just got him killed.
You didn't mention your own drug use or possession busts.
I didn't deny them.
Sam used to give you some of his drug money, right? We have witnesses who say he did.
Well, I never asked for it.
Well, you didn't refuse it because you like money. This is Defense Exhibit number 41.
It's a contract for a book you're planning to write about this case. You've also sold movie rights to this story, haven't you?
I'm telling the truth.
But you didn't tell the jury about these contracts. You also didn't tell them
What you sold is a story that my client is a killer.
when she's acquitted, your story will be worthless.
Pretty good reason to lie. The tape, was that a lie too?
There was a tape. Sam told me about
He
it.
told you. Did you ever hear the tape? See the tape? Could you describe it for the court?
No.
You used Sam to get money while he was alive. And now that he's dead, you're still using him.
Objection.
Overruled.
I am not lying.
You only chose to come forward after you sold your story because you wanted publicity. If you sell more books, it means you get more money for drugs, since you're still using.
That's a lie.
Then take a drug test now.
Objection. This witness is not on trial.
Not yet.
Perjury is still a crime, right?
No further questions.
I'm not lying. Karen killed Sam. He was gonna blow the whistle on her. That's why she did it.
The concept of battered parent syndrome is much more complicated than your typical battered woman syndrome.
How does the syndrome vary for parents with abusive children?
For those parents, leaving isn't an option. It is deeply imprinted in a mother's psyche that she can never abandon her child. Her sole responsibility in this world is to care for that child and to love it.
So Karen wasn't going to abandon Sam, no matter what he did to her.
That's right. Like a battered spouse, she felt both physically and psychologically trapped. Killing Sam became her only option to avoid a very real perception that he was going to kill her.
Thank you, Doctor.
I imagine you've testified many times about this so-called battered parent syndrome.
Well, actually, no. This is the first time.
So if this defense works, you'd be able to make a nice living going around the country testifying about it, right? Good luck with that.
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
The reason this is the first time you've testified about this defense is because most parents don't kill their children. It's the most unnatural, evil act in the world.
It is rare.
In fact, it's so rare, this syndrome seems to only apply to her.
I remember how angry Sam was. I'd seen that look before.
And he hit you?
Yes, he slapped me and he punched me in the eye.
Defense Exhibits 17 through 20. Photos of the eye injury Karen Patterson sustained that day.
Karen, did you fear for your life?
Yes, I thought he was gonna kill me.
Did you want to shoot Sam?
No. I love my son. I never wanted to hurt him. I just thought I was gonna die that day. That's why I shot him.
Thank you. No further questions.
Your Honor, may counsel approach the bench?
Very well.
We want to cross-examine the witness at the scene of the crime.
Her house? Why? Your Honor, this is a pretext. The only reason the prosecution wants to take the jury to my client's house is to prejudice them against her. She's well off. They'll resent her for it.
The heart of Mr. Trott's defense is that his client felt trapped in her own house. We disagree. Given the layout of the house, she had ample opportunity to escape. So let the jury see the house and decide for themselves what's true.
She's right, Mr. Trott. You introduced the concept of battered parent syndrome. Like self-defense, it means the jurors have to put themselves in your client's shoes. They should see the context in which she shot her son. You can cross-examine the witness at her house.
A crime scene becomes a courtroom scene today in Beverly Hills as Deputy DA Jennifer Reese is allowed to question murdering mom Karen Patterson at the very place where she shot her son.
You claim you loved your son.
I did love my son.
But you never tried to escape, did you? I mean, if you loved your son as much as you say, wouldn't you have at least tried to leave? Wasn't that a less extreme measure than killing him? Instead of doing that, you chose to go upstairs to get your gun, didn't you?
Yes, I got my gun.
And then you walked down to the first floor and loaded your gun with bullets.
Yes.
And this is where you shot him.
I had to shoot him.
Really? Well, on your way to and from the gun, how many exits did you see?
I don't know.
I do. The jury does too. We just took a tour. I counted 5. 5 doors you could have used to run away. Isn't that right?
Well, he would have hunted me down. I mean, he told me so many times before that he
hunted you down. Look at this house. You had the money to go anywhere you wanted to seek whatever help you needed.
Objection. Argumentative.
Sustained.
You could have used any of the 6 phones in the house to call the police. They have guns too. But you didn't call them, did you?
He'd been arrested before. He would have come back angrier than ever, and...
You didn't want the police here for other reasons, because you had drugs and drug money here. We've seen the documents. We know all about the accounts. You were dealing drugs, weren't you?
I had to help Sam with that. He threatened to kill me.
No. He threatened to tell the cops about you. Isn't that right? No. No further questions.
Karen, you just gave reasons for not calling the police and for not running away when faced with your son's abuse. Were those all the reasons?
Like I told you, I was afraid of him, and I couldn't abandon my son. You're thinking, what kind of a mother could kill her own child? I loved my son. But I guess the only way that you're ever going to believe me is if I'd let him kill me. I wish I had.
You okay? I wish I'd known more about other parts of your life. I might have been able to help. I'm sorry I didn't check in after Doug died.
There's nothing for you to feel guilty about, Ron.
I should have called you back. I didn't because I was with someone else, someone I ended up marrying.
And divorcing. Do you ever wonder what it could have been if you and I had stayed together?
I try not to look back.
Me too. I can't help it. I may have been able to save you from 3 marriages. Save myself a lot of tragedy.
I'm sorry.
I am too. And when this is all over, maybe we can be together again. You know I'm not a killer, Ron.
On the single count of murder in the first degree, as to defendant Karen Patterson, the jury finds the defendant guilty.
You did everything right, Ron. No matter how good you are, sometimes they just get convicted.
I'm sorry, Ron. I know this one was personal. Don't kid yourself. They're all personal. Maybe I dodged a bullet.
Ron Trott.
Ron, is Karen Patterson.